Who else is at the top of these standings here?
Yeah, how did Sunsfan do?
Sunsfan ended up dropping one game. Now he's down to
3-0.
3-1. Game King still staying strong at 4-0. And Hoy, as previously mentioned, are kind of the big names up at 4-0 right now. I think we'll jump into another game here to spectate. I'm interested in checking out Bloody versus Bukka. I think Bloody is a pretty good player.
Yeah,
and
he was
this
putting up a really strong fight earlier today.
The 2 sniper draft, right?
Yes, exactly. And this one is still on his first game, so this game's closing up, but as soon as this ends, we'll be able to kind of start game 3 fresh. So it looks like this left lane is what it's coming down to. This actually might be the last turn of a game we're witnessing.
Well, I'm going to make some room for Joel. He might want to say a few words about his match that people just saw.
Yeah, I'd be interested. We could talk about that while this game is ending.
Sure. So we have Joel Larson sitting down. He obviously was just able to take his opponent 2-0. The second game was pretty dominant, but that first one was a little sticky. How do you feel, man?
That was close.
I really remember the first game.
You got that sick primal roar.
Yeah, primal roar are 3 heroes.
Yeah, that wasn't bad. I'll be honest. Yeah. Well, that's kind of how both of my games ended up. I saw that I had Vesture in his deck, which I knew my deck was going to have a hard time beating. But Primal Roar is kind of the perfect card to neutralize that item, because you invest so much into it and you invest so much of your game plan into getting that much gold to actually buy it, and then you put it in a lane where it isn't relevant. It's like, it's such a swing.
And so the reason for that is the primal roar just pushes them out of the lane.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if I've already won that lane or left it or whatever, and I've I think it was my first game, or maybe it was the second, I can't remember, but I pushed with only Bristol back for 40, and then I left that lane, and I was able to push Pia away to that lane. And then I already had an Igniter and 3 creeps that would block her kind of indefinitely, and then she had to deal 40, so then she was kind of stuck there. But I think my matchup was fairly good, actually.
So would you say in the late game being put into a bad lane is worse than dying, in the sense that you can't redeploy back to where you're relevant?
Yeah, for sure. I do what we call, me and my friends call it the ghetto TP, where when I die with like intention to die, just so I can go to another lane, or when I choose to not save a hero, just to be able to deploy better later on.
How are the double ogres treating you?
They've been good. I haven't had the pleasure of putting them in the same lane yet.
Not yet.
But the ignites are very good. Like if you place them very carefully early, you can kind of figure out where they're gonna put where they're gonna double up on heroes. They're very good. You could see it in my. I don't know if you watched my match.
Yeah.
And the cutting plan's working out pretty well as well.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
We were gonna say the multicasts have been great in that last game.
For sure. Yeah, my mid lane, even though I have invested a lot of resources in winning it, and I never really find the town portal, it kind of served pretty well as being able to globally affect the game. Like, I could play the Troll Soothsayer, or is it Soothsayer?
Yes.
Soothsayer, yeah.
To draw extra cards. I could like Cunning Plan to draw cards. I could Spring the Trap, which I never did, but yeah, not sure if I played correctly there in the last turn, so it was kind of difficult. My plan was to put Winter Wyvern at 1, and then put an Igniter from the first lane. So, because Vesture, the hero with Vesture keeps coming back, but if you kill it with Ignite in your upkeep, it's gone for that entire turn, and then you often can deal lethal. But yeah,
this game we're watching is actually a bit of a nail biter here. This
Yeah.
this last tower for both players' sides, 13 on one, 11 on the other. Bloody just took back initiative with well-timed arcane assaults, but Bukka has 3 deploys.
So this is very frequently where the strategy of Artifact can fall, is basically one lane will be guaranteed for one player, the second lane would be guaranteed for their opponent, and then you'll have a stalemate on the third lane. And so there's 2 ways to break that, to find the victors. Either one of the 2 players will win that stalemate, or it'll get so entrenched that the other 2 lanes that are continuing to push, one of them will push down the 80 HP core tower, and that will be the way to find the win.
Bloody needs a top deck here. I mean, Bukka having these triple deploys. Look, there's Red Mist Maul here, just an overwhelming amount of units. We need to see a good top deck here on Bloody's side. Otherwise, we are going to game 3 here.
There's a Soothsayer too. Okay.
Yep. So potentially only one play available for Bloody here because while there is initiative on his side, we do see the Primal Roar in hand for Bukka. He can Primal Roar a creep and take green out of the picture. From there, you've only got blue cards to play, and they're not going to be nearly as impactful as the creeps that could block out some of the attackers.
Yeah, I think the best play there, especially since he has so much mana, would be to play a Treant or any other creep in front of Beastmaster, just to make sure you get that block in. Because then you have like Sanctum, you have Foresight, you're gonna be able to cast all the other blue cards.
You're at 13 mana.
Yeah, as long as you get to cast that one green card.
Thunder God's
there.
Wrath.
Ooh.
We've got the Sanctum
Ooh,
for the mana.
That's also a good
nowhere
card.
near lethal damage, though, unfortunately.
And that unsupervised artillery getting its ping in, reducing
What
its
about
tower to
the
7.
friendly fire though?
Friendly Fire has options. Bounty Hunter is a good target for it.
Ooh.
Choosing the Keef with the Mercenary
You could play
Exiles.
both, right? You could have played Sanctum there, refreshed them both, cast Thunder God's Wrath and Friendly Fire.
Yeah, but I believe, if we're doing the math correctly, Thunder God's Wrath plus the Bracers of Sacrifice might be enough. No, 1 damage off if he activates the item that's on Yumoy.
Yeah.
No mana for
If he would have
Sanctum
casted
anymore.
that, the Thunder God's Wrath too,
Yeah.
he could have got the Bounty Hunter and yeah, I don't know. It would have been
Yeah, the
definitely
order-
much better.
It's a tough game. They're just jumping
For
into
sure.
it at the last
Yeah.
second. We don't really
Yeah.
see the full extent of what these players have gone through just to get to this position with so much mana on both sides. But despite exhausting all his remaining resources, only 1 card in hand, it looks like Bukka is going to be taking this 3rd tower and this game against Bloody.
Perfect.
Yep.
So we can go to the game 3 here. I believe Bloody was up 1-0 up until this point, so they'll be going to game 3. That'll be a good game to kind of watch here as the Swiss round ends.
Who else do we have finishing up as well?
We've got a few people. Hot Meowth, who we saw earlier, is up against Kenso Peen TV. Freddy Babes against Vanuki. But it looks like these are all kind of already games in progress.
Yep.
So he's in
Just watch Bukka again.
Yep, here we
who
go.
are still undefeated of the players.
Hoy is, as
Oh,
mentioned
yeah.
before, and Game King as well.
Yeah, I saw his tweet earlier that he had double Luna.
Oh, really?
man.
Oh, my.
Well, it got nerfed, but
Yeah.
it's still
Still
busted,
very
I
good.
think. Yeah.
It's still
Yeah.
very powerful, and if you get the Lucid Beam to hit on the right eclipses, you're a very happy person. But yeah, I guess it go the opposite way, and yeah, you just get unlucky. But
Speaking of very powerful, that Mist of Awareness, not bad in your opener.
yeah,
this
one of probably the highest win rate card to play in turn 1 by far.
Yes.
Yep. It was
I think-
unfortunate for Bukka last turn or last game. We saw he drew that at mana 13 instead.
Oh, yeah.
I actually think I think people don't wait until turn 2 enough with Mist.
Really?
Honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What makes you say that?
Because after you see the creeps deploy, you can understand where your opponent puts their hero and where you get the most value next turn out of Mist, and the way that you can kind of realize how they're not going to be able to contest it or not, and etc. etc. But clearly it's
It's still great.
it's
yeah.
still great to cast it on turn 1
Mhm.
from time to time, but I think it's more often correct to play it on turn, more often than you would expect, rather.
Sure.
Here you were a little bit lucky with the creep, but what if there was no creeps
Yeah.
here and then
So this
2 creeps on the right side? Then it would have been great to put Treant in the first lane and then Mist on the right side.
this
'Cause
mid lane
Mist-
already is intense for Bukka.
Yeah.
Yeah. Miss buffs all units.
Yes.
Yes.
Permanent buff too.
Permanent
so
buff.
heroes that come back after it gets buffed, they're gonna stay buffed.
Yeah, it's a very real card.
And now he has 2 creeps that he can play alongside the Treant Protector, and they'll be increased turn by turn with the Mist of Avernus and increased by armor thanks to Treant's passive. So we really are going to see just an overwhelming advantage in the mid lane for Bukka, and Bloody's just going to have to see what he can do on lane 1 and 3.
Yeah, and one of the strongest things about Mist of Avernus is not only can you just snowball a lane with it, but because it keeps going, it gives you like ancient kill potential. So this is a real threat to deal like the first. Is this the first ancient kill we've seen, or has there been one more?
I think we may have seen one today, yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely have one right now
But of course we have
in
Bloody with
my
the
last game.
Your last
Classic.
name, yeah.
6
True.
Thunder God's Wraths.
More than one.
Can actually play Ogre Conscript next turn in this lane too. It almost pushes for lethal. I assume we're gonna see a Selfish Cleric clearing up the creep, maybe? Yeah, I would have loved to see that in front of the Treant or the 3-4 creep, because if you can clean up the units before they get monstrosely
Yeah.
large, especially with Selfish Cleric, that's pretty great,
Sure.
because then you keep eating all those melee creeps.
So you're not
Spawn
afraid of
there.
a Bronze Legionnaire with 2 armor and with the ever-increasing attack pool? You wouldn't prioritize that?
No, I mean, no, not really. I think I would rather place it in front of the creep.
Okay.
Yeah. It depends a little bit on the deck whether you can clear it without units or not, you know. But I think I don't want to trade my pretty good 4-drop against that 2-drop.
So if Bloody's not going to be able to like fight for this mid lane, she needs to be able to not just win left and right, but win them fast. Because this mist going off, especially if Ogre drops next turn, is going to represent a very fast ancient kill middle.
I would have loved actually to put this Keith on the right side. I think even though they have 2 blue heroes here, it's going to be very hard for Bloody to actually push damage fast. And if you can kind of cement or get the upper hand in another lane, then it's kind of huge. Because I mean, now it's going to be kind of hard to contest this lane, even though you have Keith here. But if you had it in the right lane, I think that would have been big.
That's exactly right. In Artifact, you don't really attack the lane that you're strongest in, you attack the lane you're second strongest in. And when you go to defend, you don't defend the lane you're weakest in, you defend the lane you're second weakest in, because that's the one you can defend.
Yeah, basically that's definitely correct. And there's also, like in any other card game, you want to get the most value out of your cards, basically. And if you're so far behind that your creeps do so little when you play them or your interaction, they're not worth it, basically.
Okay, Arcane Assault is going to allow Bloody to steal back initiative.
Question is whether or not that's all that valuable. I would say that so you're probably just cycling your deck.
If you're playing around the 6-drop, the Bellow first play against the Rose Leaf does block out the Ogre Conscript as an option.
That could be an interesting play, just taking down the mana pool. So Rose Leaf is able to increase the mana of the tower from 5 to 6 here, as you see at the bottom there with the green number. And that means that if it is removed from this lane, that some other lane is going to get that mana, but not this one. So if you are trying to play defensively in this position, then yeah, that would definitely be a good option.
I gotta say, the best thing against Mist is to try to like fight for the lane hard, because like it's really hard to abandon the opponent's Mist lane normally, just because they have the ancient kill potential. This is such a powerful ability; it stacks over and over again. And with Tree giving armor to these units, these are not dying either.
Even if you'll probably have to blow this Ogre Conscripts, but I don't know. You need a I think you need a very strong plan against this, because how it's going now is not working. Like, Blood is not going to get another hero in here for quite a while, because his heroes seem to be surviving in the other lanes, which means he won't be able to contest, or she rather, won't be able to contest this. So I kind of like just abandoning it and hope you can get the other 2 lanes.
I mean, you've got to push them fast, though. This is this is going to be a fast ancient kill. Look at how much these units are ramping up already. This is only going to get worse. Once the ancient's exposed at 80 health, it will die in 2 turns.
Love this play, by the way.
When he swapped, the arrow was kept?
Yes.
Yeah. That's how it works.
So Mists of Avernus, when it's not destroyed, is a very polarizing card. You either go all in on that lane to try to fight it out and make sure the creeps don't get a bunch of attack damage momentum, or you kind of abandon it. Like, if you just kind of fight it with half your resources, the opponent's always going to have more to bring to the table, and it's going to be very difficult. So you either have to really well win that lane, really well lose that lane, or just fight somewhere else.
Yeah, I like that, just like you were saying, that they didn't play the Ogre Conscripts now that Bloody ported their hero out, because now you don't need as much more to actually win against the Ancient. You rather want to cast the Ogre Conscript in the first lane next turn to make sure that Bloody won't be able to get that lane, like, easily. Because otherwise you wouldn't have a play in the first lane, and then maybe, even though you have double blue here, maybe you can get that lane anyways, you know?
Yep. So it's going to be up to Bloody to end this game quickly. She has to take left and right pretty fast, and so far she hasn't really applied much pressure to either. This tower is going down to 28, and left is at 33.
So obviously, right now, we do see bukka has a huge advantage in the middle lane, the right and left lane still being fought for, but with that Selim in his favor giving 2 extra mana to the tower, now it's that much easier for bukka to start putting big things into lane 1. So Ogre Conscript most definitely going to be coming down in that left lane. Is Bounty Hunter going to be joining him, though?
I think so. I mean, at this point, if you're bukka, I mean, you are basically just playing defensive, right? Because you know your mid lane will win you the game over a long
don't lose.
turns.
Yep. These 2 creeps in mid was pretty big, by the way.
Very big.
Now there's a good chance that bukka won't be able to finish off the tower this turn, which means the clock against the Ancient will be 1 turn slower.
Exactly.
means
Oh, that's a mistake. Bukka plays Grazing Shot on the Zeus that already had 2 armor from Tree and Protector. It gets blocked out entirely. He just wasted the card.
Oh, that is pretty major, yeah.
For
Steel
sure.
Strength comes out to punish that as well. Bounty Hunter going down to 3 attack. And we have the Cunning Plan to keep the Zeus alive as well.
Yeah, I like playing the Steel Strength first because now it's presenting lethal towards Bounty Hunter, meaning that Bukka will most likely want to be able to save it with a cloak or something of that similar value. But I think what Blooded really wants to do is push 7 damage to the tower because now there's a race. And
Yep, there's the Ogre Conscript.
yeah, you're not. It's not as important to get the Bounty Hunter, but to get repetitive damage in with Zeus. I feel like.
Exactly. And it's just, as you were saying earlier, Yoel, Bukka's decision to kind of like split the defense on left and right kind of opens him up to a lose condition, right? If he just stuck to one of the lanes and defended that one stalwartly, you'd have the inevitable win on mid lane. But in kind of splitting it, you risk maybe losing both by a little bit.
Mm.
All right, tough position here. The Cunning Plan will keep Umoi extremely healthy. And at this position, Bounty Hunter is still going to be brought down thanks to the Broadsword that's played in response to the Traveler's Cloak. So Bounty Hunter's health goes up, but Zeus' attack will match it.
Keep in mind, Bukka can take initiative
I
back at any
think-
time with Fight.
I think this was pretty huge. Oh. Okay.
And a lot of damage now going into the tower.
Well,
Town Portal and Bounty
no.
Hunter, he can play him again next turn. He'll be nice and healthy, but your tower won't be able to say the same.
I think this was a huge thing. Personally, I would have liked to push damage more for Bloody, like Cunning Plan the Zeus to deal 11 to the tower, have Jamoy staying at the same place. Next turn, Jamoy can still draw a card in Foresight, so it doesn't matter that much. As long as you can push damage fast enough to raise his mid lane. But but then Bukka actually Town Portals his
Yeah.
bounty
Does
on
it for
so
him.
yeah, it kind of became the perfect play against that Town Portal.
Nice Rebel swap, allowing the tree to go face. And again, this Ancient
Yeah.
can die in as soon as 2 turns. I think this will be a 2-turn Ancient kill.
It seems like Bukka could finish it off this turn
Bloody
without
needs to draw Thunder
using
Gods.
any more cards, which was pretty big.
Aghanim Sanctum gives the Thunder Gods mana. If it's drawn, doesn't get drawn.
Nope.
Does have a lot of green options here. Ramusk would be great for buffing up a lane. This is a spell that gives 3 health to every single unit in one lane, and you can choose which lane you want to cast it in. So you can either buff up the heroes and units dealing damage on the left lane, or you can make this lane even stronger and make it much more difficult for Bounty to push through.
Yeah,
that's
I wonder if
Bloody
you should
response.
below a creep to the left lane, or hope it lands there. Okay, or you go more. I don't know.
Mid might have been the kind of preferred option for Bloody, just because this is probably indefensible in a 2-turn clock.
Yeah. Blooded doesn't have any AoE effects now.
Yeah.
But both of these towers are getting low. Bloody's applying the pressure she needs to apply. This one's down to 19. This one's going down all the way to 17.
I believe that Bloody is really hoping for a Thunder God's Wrath draw for the
That's
next
gotta be
turn.
it.
If he gets it, then the Tree Protector should be dead, and that means very limited options to try to defend the tower here. Even guaranteeing the tower, the kill on the Tree Protector with that swap using Juke.
Yep. And we've got either Arm or Ramusk to keep the Selfish Cleric alive as well, putting out a little bit of extra damage. You could even Arm here, and then Ramusk blessing the left
Yeah,
lane, because this is
I
a
like that.
lane-wide spell. You can play this anywhere and kind of help give strength to your lane that needs it the most. Because Bloody needs to be winning this left lane now.
Yeah, it's gonna be real hard in 2 turns.
Yep.
Especially with such beefy blockers.
There it is, Ramusk here. I'd love to see the Arm being
Yeah.
played on this lane.
But it feels like he's trying to commit resources to both lanes here, and with the time clock that this mid lane is presenting against him, Bloody really needs to just force the issue on one lane hard and fast. Like, if he's not taking down either 19 on left or 28 on right within, 2 turns, he is definitely going to be losing this game.
I think Bloody might maybe have this. One thing that's really, really important to consider is Bloody actually has 2 turns to take left, but only 1 turn to take
Yeah.
right.
Mhm.
Because
pretty big.
the mid goes between left and right, which means, so if you kind of imagine it, Bloody will have this turn left and next turn left to win, but 2 turns from now, after right by the time right goes, mid will already be taken. Bukka's committing Bounty Hunter mid.
Oh, there's no way you could do 80 damage in this one turn.
I don't know about this.
Not a big fan of this. play.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's very, very risky. Now all Bloody needs to do is take left in 2 turns and take right in 1 turn.
I would have actually loved to put Bounty on the right side.
I agree.
But it would have been incredibly hard to get the tower this turn.
Yes, just because on right side, Bloody has one less actual turn to even push the lethal compared to left.
Just like you mentioned earlier, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And at this point, you have to look at Bukka's hands as almost entirely a dead hand. Payday and Track are not going to be doing much in this current game position. Maybe threatening Treant Protector, who's going to be helped out by the Cloak. Yeah, he goes ahead fighting Instincts, but he's not really going to be changing too much. And we'll just see Bloody drawing into Steel.
Look at Bloody's hand.
Yeah, Steel Strength and the Arm the Rebellion and the Roseleaf Druid, all really good at just pushing tower damage. But if he goes ahead for the Bellow on the Ogre Conscript...
If it goes right, that's very bad potentially. I mean, he needs to be able to push this additional damage. He still needs 4 damage to develop on this lane.
He wants to say Bellow for
or Arm.
on the melee creep on the lane 3 just to get lethal damage.
Yep.
Well,
Or
it's
Arm.
enough to play Arm the Rebellion, right? So I think you need to save that for the last lane to exactly push 17.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then you have all the other cards at your disposal in the first lane to get lethal.
There's
I'm
Roseleaf.
not sure if you can do it.
I'd love to see an Arm of the Rebellion here, I think.
Or Steel Strength.
Or Steel Strength.
I kind of like Steel Strength better. It deals the same amount of damage, but
Bellow's the Roseleaf.
this is some
That's
next level 200 IQ plays.
Galaxy brain stuff.
Yeah. This is something else.
But he's not going to be able to push down this left lane fast enough if he doesn't have any real damage coming out from these units.
I think Bloody may be overcommitting to the right lane. I mean, keep in mind, there are 2 turns to kill this, but at the same time, now right lane kind of has too many tools. And this mist just keeps pumping. Look at this, 55 damage. 1 more turn and this is gone.
And Bukka has a Treant Protector coming out in the next round, and so you can put that in the first lane and make it extremely hard for having a win condition at all for Bloody.
I think actually Bloody could have had this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
think so. I think so.
Like, if you cast the Steel Strength there, if you cast it below on your opposing creep, then you hope it doesn't land in the last lane, cast Arm the Rebellion, that's exactly 17. And then I think Bukka is only going to have that Keef and the Treant incoming with potential creeps. And that's kind of where you have to fight about that.
And TP's out the Bounty Hunter in the end anyways. I'm not sure if the deck list for Bukka, maybe Bloody was trying to play against certain things like potentially a pickoff that could have killed the Zeus. I'm really not sure. There's a lot of different things that could have incentivized him to put the Roseleaf to bellow it to the other lanes. But yeah, at this point in time, he will definitely have the means to take down this right tower, but he's looking all the worse in the left lane.
So Bloody needs to threaten an additional 2 damage here, and then he or she, has to TP one of these units out.
Yeah.
Now, if she threatens 5 damage, she can choose to TP the Zeus, but one of these needs to.
Might
switch
as
to
well
defending left.
TP the Farman, right? Since it's still being blocked by creep.
Yep.
You
It's
bring
not
out
doing
Farman.
anything here.
Yeah, and you already have 2 blue heroes in the first lane.
Yes.
I guess Zeus could be an option just to get the double triggers. Then maybe potentially being able to play enough blue spells to kind of open up for a lethal attack.
So we're
Maybe
going
that could be a
Farman.
play.
Now, state of the game, Bloody has taken 1 tower on the right lane, but he needs 2 towers to win the game. Mid lane is now very threatened for its 2nd core tower. Was at 80 HP, now down to 33, and could be
lane's a
dropping this
nightmare.
turn. He's got to put everything he has into left lane, the first lane, in order to try to win the game right here and now.
Maybe you could actually put Farman in the mid lane
This Bounty Hunter can't be going mid.
and
I think.
play Prowler Vanguard somewhere to exactly not take lethal.
Bukka's just TP Bounty and put
Bukka-
him back.
This
and
Bounty Hunter is just running down
very
mid.
indecisive.
Yeah.
And we've got this Treant Protector. Bukka's got a lot of confidence in this Treant Protector.
Yeah,
there
we
There
go.
we go.
I think that's much better.
It's a
Your
little more
second
like
lane
it.
is already threatening lethal. You don't need any more damage, especially with Mr. Avernus proccing too.
I
So-
wonder what Bloody can draw here to get this. It's going to be interesting.
Needs something very powerful. There's nothing green that does it, and
Friendly
Thundergod's
Fire,
Wrath isn't
maybe?
really that great. Friendly Fire might be the best draw.
Yeah.
Like if Ginada triggers, maybe no, it's not enough.
Oh,
with
very
Keith.
good
And the
Roar
roar
with Bukka.
against him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't
This
even
is
want to
over.
roar, though. If you're not losing the tower here, you don't want to accidentally push heroes into the mid lane where you would otherwise have lethal.
Yeah,
At
you
the
just
same
want to
time.
defend.
If you don't
I
take
don't
the Roar
know.
now, the Thunder Gods kills the Keef.
I like roaring here because there's just no way you can push 14
So
next turn.
If you
roar.
Traveler's Cloak, what can kill Keith? The Bounty Hunter plus with a potential friendly fire, right?
Yep.
Yes.
So that's the basically the play you're going against.
I think I would Primal Roar because it shuts off all the green spells from Bloody.
Hmm.
It pushes Farman away, stuns Treant, so you can't cast green spells. And then Zeus won't be able to attack, so you only have Jimoy Or Zeus is also in another lane, so Jimoy is the only attacker plus the 2. I don't know.
But what if those heroes go to the mid lane and end up blocking some for lethal?
That's fine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can just have lethal next turn.
Yeah, exactly. I
true.
mean, if you're Bukka, your only objective is to just defend this lane.
Yeah.
This lane is just so decided at this
Yep.
point, and this is just the power of Mist.
Yeah, but either didn't pay attention to the potential friendly fire that Bloody could have drawn, or just disregards it because he wants to guarantee the win here and now. He is very close to winning this game here. Is able to block out 4 more damage, only taking 2 damage on his 14 HP tower. And if Bloody passes, that's the game.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Bloody
Yeah,
has
it
no
worked out.
answer to this in hand. Bukka will have this mid.
Yeah, it worked out because Bloody didn't draw the friendly fire for the potential win. I mean, it might not have been enough anyways, but it would have been damn close, I think.
Yeah, it would have.
Yeah.
And this just kind of goes to show the strength of Mist of Avernus, like how much
Yeah.
this one card can do if you play it early.
I mean, look at the Bronze Legionnaire. He played that very early. Starts with 4 attack, now has 8.
Up to 9, yeah.
It's going to be at 9 in the next round. It just, this builds so quickly. You either just absolutely destroy the lane that has Mist of Avernus so the creeps can't benefit from it, or you let it go and hope you can push the other 2 fast enough. And in this case, Bloody is not able to make that happen.
Yeah, it becomes a real problem, especially in draft when you're playing stuff like blue-green, that your heroes aren't that proactive, so it's kind of hard to deal lethal fast in the other 2 lanes, and without sweepers like Annihilation, it becomes so hard to stop that lane.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So let's take a look at kind of how things are going here. It looks like this round is kind of closing out. It looks like there's only one more game currently happening here. We could just kind of jump into the tail end of this and kind of see how that goes if we want. And we can kind of just talk over how we felt about how the round going, or how the round has been going until then.
8 exos still in, right?
Yes.
So Limited definitely presents a different valuation of the cards that we've seen compared to Constructed. A lot of people, content creators, have talked about how they rank the cards in terms of Constructed. Not as many for the context of Draft. Mist of Avernus, obviously shown right here, is an incredible card in Draft. But how would you rank it compared to all the other top cards of various colors?
Yeah, I think it's a first pick almost no matter what. Like, I don't know. There's only a very few cards, rare cards, legendary cards maybe they're
Yeah.
called,
Yeah.
that are you take over it, like Emissary of Decorum, Time of Triumph, Annihilation, like cards like that are obscene. But because Mist, you can still draw Mist in the late game and then it doesn't do anything. Like,
Yeah.
That's true.
uh,
But you could
So-
also draw Emissary of the Quorum in the early game, and you never get there.
well, I mean, in draft you almost always get to 8 mana. My previous deck before this one,
If you're good.
yeah, it only played towards getting to 7 mana. Like, it was very hard for me to impact the board before that.
DC
But
here.
since it's draft, things go a little bit slower, so you have time to kind of get those super powerful cards out.
Yep, and this is the final match, actually, of round 4 on Swiss. After this, the new bracket for round 5 will be generated. Everyone will be playing with their second group deck.
We have 7 total rounds of Swiss today, so just over halfway done.
Got
Still
a lot more
games.
artifact to go.
Seems like we have a loss of connection, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, it looks like the last player here, this game is extended so long because somebody has disconnected out of it, and it seems like that might end up being a forfeit loss in the end, but will push us right on to the next round.
Yep.
We're going to go ahead and let Jolarson get ready for his next round,
Yep.
but we appreciate you coming on, man.
Yep. See you soon.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Good luck.
Perfect. So as soon as this closes out, we'll have the next round generated immediately. Let's see that Swiss round, huh? So we've got a lot of 4-0s right now, and let's see how they pair against each other. Round 5 is up. Hopefully we can take a peek at this, and let's look at the pairings. So we've got Game King versus Yoel, who was just here.
Should be pretty good. This is a guy from
Yeah.
Gwent that you think would be
Yeah.
one of the more high potential
One
competitors
of the
in
top players
Artifact.
from Gwent.
So that should be really good.
Stan Sivka versus Gara,
Mhm.
a very prominent Hearthstone player.
Yeah, a lot of matches that we are going to be absolutely hyped to get into, but I believe we are going to be going into a quick break and then hopping into one of these games there immediately thereafter.
Absolutely.
So that was it for this round. We got to see Joel Larson continue to rise above the rest. We'll get to see somebody else
4-0.
potentially take another piece of the pie as we go into Swiss round 5. But for now, Artifact Preview Tournament is going to be back in just a few minutes.